for you, just being new to this area, the system, like everything about it. How has it sort of transpired for you?
It's been good so far. Just holding in on the details that's being taught to me. Learning a new system for another year, which has been pretty good. Just building trust between players and coaches, all the staff all together, and just going out there every day, putting in full effort. Just to build that chemistry with the team and going out there and play the way we need to.
As you've seen the offense sort of grow when you guys have been installing, what has stood out to you maybe about the offense without giving away the trade secrets, obviously?
Just how complementary things are. We don't have just one focus on a pass or a run. We complement each other very well, especially with the guys that we have in the room and the offense that was brought into us. We all make things happen. We want to run for the pass and we want to pass for the run. So things like that, to get this offense going.
Did you have an idea of what Trevor was like as a player before you got here, and how has that maybe changed after going through camp with him?
Not necessarily. I played against him before. It was a long time ago in college, just 1 year. So that was kind of different because where he came from in Clemson, they was spread, and he had some guys around him like T. Higgins and, Justin and all them guys. So I think just him being him and learning him as well. He's a real leader. He's been real vocal and communicative. He wants us to be on the same page, and he tells us what he sees, and we tell him what we see as well. So just building that chemistry there and just communicating with each other so we can all be on the same page is big for us.
How comfortable does he seem? Does he seem more comfortable now significantly than he did maybe in OTAs when everything was new? He's still working on footwork stuff and everything too?
Most definitely. I think that's for everybody. Everybody's coming into a new system. We are learning at the same time. So it will start off slow just to learn and, get the details down. But, as things been going on, we've been getting better, each day. And you could tell through the days of camp and even in the preseason, like our drives looked way better last week than what it did the first time. So, we ended up with points, and it's good for us.
How good can this pass catching group be? You, Travis, Brian, even Brenton. How good can you guys be?
Oh, man, we could be great. All we have to do is go out there and focus every day, continue to do the things that we need to do fundamentally, and, don't let up.
That versatility that you all have, how much is that going to help this season when you guys get rolling?
Oh, man, it helps a lot. We have a lot of speed. Even our running backs have speed, and they can get things done on third and short as well, if we want to hand the ball off right up the middle just to get a first down. I think that can help us out a lot because we don't have to just pick one thing to do. We can go out there and scheme things up the way we need to.
You have jet sweep in week 1 against Pittsburgh. Is that a role you like, and is that something you want to be a part of?
I think any way to get a ball is something I would like. But no, it's good to get those things, because at this point I'm more than just a pass catcher. I'm able to make things happen, just find ways to get the ball. And it's not just me getting the jet sweep. Josh had got a jet sweep too as well. So a lot of us can get those things in order for us to move the ball down the field.
How does that help the offense having that sort of versatility?
Again, you can't just focus in on one thing. We as receivers, we want to make things happen in the run game as well. We want to block. We want to get those jet sweeps so we can gain yards to get first downs or even touchdowns, to be able to help us because, we might can throw a motion just to set off a defense, and it could be a jet sweep, it might not. So things like that can help the offense.
We talked yesterday about the importance of receivers blocking in this offense. Is that something you guys are embracing as a group?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I don't know if y'all I saw a video on Twitter not too long ago. We did like a blocking drill on the bags, and it was a funny comment. There was like no block, no rock. But I mean, we want the backs to do good as well. We want to be all together as one, and unselfishly at the same time. We want to win together, and ways for us to win is to start blocking.
Were you a little surprised that jet sweep was the call on 4th and 1? No?
No, I wasn't surprised. I think that was just him trusting me to get that first down on that 4th and 1.
What excites you about joint practices going up against another team?
Really, it just allows us to go out there and see somebody else. It gets us prepared, and it gives us a different look as well. So we might going against our defense every day, we kind of would know what they could think at the time, but going against somebody else and how we would see things from a different structure kind of helps us as well.
And then this is pretty off topic, but Bill Belichick out of your alma mater, has it kind of been surreal just seeing him in Tar Heels gear?
I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird to me. I didn't think he was going to go back into coaching, you know, from the career that he had. And, you know, I'm surprised to see what they do this year.
I know it's been a minute, but that trip you guys took to the Bahamas, just how beneficial was that to be able to, like you said multiple times, everybody's news, just be able to keep building that bond?
Oh, man, that trip right there was amazing for us because, you know, we're all new. And that was the first step of us getting together and, you know, kind of building the chemistry and even, like, knowing our time and getting our timing down and knowing how each player run different routes and just understanding what the quarterback wants and what we want at the same time. So I think that trip right there was just for us to go out there and be able to communicate, but still, you know, build a bond outside of football.
Has your mindset changed at all in terms of just, you know, going from Washington to now where you're being heavily featured in the offense, you know, they're game planning specifically to get to you. Has your mindset or mental have improved or gone anywhere since then?
For me, I just want to take that next step forward. Keep getting better, you know, the 1% each day. Just focus on the same details that I need to work on. Stay fundamentally sound. Don't try to do too much or get out of the way of things, but I just want to go out there and compete and be the best version of me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Dyami.
All right, Cam, we'll start with this.
Good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, just you know, the going from week 1 preseason to week 2, is that what you want to see in terms of the defense sort of rebounding?
Yeah, I thought the guys did a good job. You know, we harped on communication, like I said the last time I was up here. I thought we did a better job of that in the game, and I just thought we flew around a little bit more. Now we gave them a little bit more on the menu. You know, like I had said, the first game we didn't do too much, but I thought it was good. I thought they handled the situations well, communicated well, and definitely started faster.
Where have you seen the defense sort of grow over the course of the last several weeks in training camp?
I just think there's a good camaraderie, and I think that does show up with communication. I hate to keep saying that, but I think guys really do a good job of, right now are doing a good job or a better job of communicating from where we were earlier in the summer. And they're starting to know exactly what they're doing. They're playing with a little bit more anticipation, and in my opinion, you either play with anticipation or anxiety. And I think the guys are starting to play with a little bit more anticipation, and that's how big plays are made.
What does Colin Saunders bring to the defense?
I mean, you know, toughness. He is a really, really twitchy guy, in my opinion. You know, watching him and all that, just watching him go through the drills and everything, he brings a level of physicality. I think he's got tremendous block release, to be honest with you. When you watch him, he does a really great job of not staying blocked, hard to move inside in the interior. So it's always great to have a twitchy guy like that inside where you feel like you can still get some rush, even in the early down action once he reacts to drop back or play action pass. So he's got a great personality too. I know you guys probably got the chance to meet him a little bit. He's a great dude.
And is there value in getting a guy who has played in a lot of big games at the level that he has?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a guy with experience, that's definitely valuable. You know, and he's been in big games and he's produced, obviously, at a high level all over at 2 different places and shows up all over the tape. And he's got pretty good hands. He had a heck of a pick there last year. So, I mean, yeah, he was running with the ball. That was pretty impressive, too. So, yeah, definitely value to that.
Has he done a backflip for you yet?
He has not. He has not. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. I'd be interested to see if he could do that. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
I'm curious how the mechanics work when, like, Travis is playing both sides, obviously.
Sure.
So he's on defense, and then he goes right on the field with offense, but you guys are doing your adjustments and whatever tweaks and changes you're making while he's out there on the field with offense. So who communicates all those changes to him when he gets back?
Our defensive back coaches do a great job with that because they immediately go right to him, kind of give him everything that we just went over with the guys on the bench, you know, on the iPads. Any changes, any corrections we're making. Their job and what they've done a good job of is just transitioning to grab Travis as he's coming off, let him know exactly where everything's at and the state of the state as it pertains to the next drive. So that's really how we've handled that.
It's got to be like,
they
got to condense and be really quick, right?
Yeah. They really they've done a great job with that in practice and then done a great job, you know, over the course of obviously the first game. We didn't get the opportunity to do that with them too much in the second game, but yeah, they're really on it. They've done a good job with that.
So that's when you talk about communication between the players. That's got to be even better.
Yeah, I think your sideline operation is so important, just in general with the defense. You know, how your coaches get together right after the drive. You know, what are the problem plays? How are you fixing them? You got to be on it like that. Those guys on the other side, they're they're real good too. You know what I mean? And you got to have a plan. You know, and if you don't fix something, you're going to see it again. And that's really, it's a game of changing situations, and you obviously got to be able to adapt in the moment. And our coaches, I felt, did a good job at that the other day too.
Every new staff wants to set a standard and create a standard, but in your experience, how much do you have to lean on your veterans in the locker room to help with that?
Yeah, I think you always do. I think the best teams are definitely player-led more than they're coach-led. Coaches play a huge part in that, you know, setting the stage of the culture. But the players play the game. The players win the game. You know, I think as coaches we probably get too much credit because these guys do. They work their ass off every day, you know, and then they got to go produce right there in the what-if moment. And they're really the guys who set that culture. You have to have that in your locker room. You got to have that in your meeting rooms. You got to have that in your walkthroughs. You got to have that, you know, out here in practice. And you need it in the game, you know. And you got to be able to be around guys that you trust in order to get that. And we do have some. We're fortunate here where we have some veteran leadership and guys that people can lean on and they can trust, you know, which is awesome.
How would you evaluate interior of the defensive line now with Colin in the fold, but also having Mason and Eric back during the team?
Yeah, that's. I think it makes a difference with all those guys out there. They look good. I thought they did a good job in the rush today, and you know, do a good job in the run game. They're big, explosive bodies, so I think that's going to be a big help to us, and that's something we're excited about.
Do you need to see something from them tomorrow versus do you want to see them in the game Saturday?
Yeah, no, I mean, just the standard for them is we want to see their best all the time, obviously. You know what I mean? So whenever we're out there, we expect those guys to make a difference for us, you know, and we feel that they did a good job of that today, and we're expecting them to moving forward.
As a coach, what do you get out of joint practices?
I think it's just great anytime you're going against somebody else. You know, it definitely raises the level of intensity. You know, I don't care what anybody says. You're out there competing against somebody else. You got the opportunity to see your team against a different opponent, you know, and that excites the guys. I think it always has. Joint practices always have a great energy, in my opinion. You know, they're usually physical, they're exciting, and the guys are always excited to get out there and compete against somebody else. I like that. You know, I think it's a good thing.
How many guys from when you were down in Miami are still on staff, still on the roster, you keep in touch with?
A bunch of guys, yeah. Some of the guys on the defense staff I'm super close with, so yeah, keep in touch with them a bunch. You know, yeah, very close. And then a couple of guys on the team, you know, who were there the whole time I was there. So definitely a lot of great people there, and yeah, a lot of people were important to me there for sure.
Do you get more work out of joint practice than maybe a preseason game? Would you perform more during?
I think that depends. I mean, everybody gets something out of the preseason game, even if you're not playing your starters. The younger guys can develop so much just getting those game situations and having to react in real time. You know, whether that's a 2-minute situation, short yardage, like all those things come up, and it came up a bunch in the game for some of the young guys the other day, where those are great teaching moments for them. They can really develop. But that's a great question, but it depends. I think you get a lot out of the joint practice because, you know, obviously you're going to see your starters out there competing regardless. Anytime you go to a joint, you're going to get that. And you get an opportunity to develop there too, for sure.
Jordan Lewis had a good career in Dallas. Do you think he's taking the next level here with you and your defense?
I don't necessarily want to comment on what he did there. I think obviously, like you said, he had a great career there, but he has been unbelievable for us, just from a human being, you know, standpoint. He's just a great guy, brings a great energy in our building every day. He's such a competitor and just like a great guy. Like, you love being around him, you love coaching him, his teammates love being around him. And, you know, he's, I don't know how many years in now, what, 9, 10 years? He's 8 years, right, whatever. I mean, he's laying out in practice, you know, competing on every ball, and that's just who he is, you know what I mean? He's a competitive guy. If he was working in an office building, he'd still want to be the best guy in there. That's just the way he is. So I think he's kind of the epitome of what you're looking for in terms of competitiveness and the culture you want to have in your building.
Does the identity of a defense develop more in the regular season, or can you really see what this defense can be around this time?
Yeah, I think you know, the NFL season is long, and it's been my experience that the objective is to continue developing. You know, be playing your best, obviously, as the season progresses. You know. You want to see development and set your culture in place in the summer. For sure, you can develop that, develop the standard and the toughness. But to me, that's something you're working every day. You know, like, you got to work it every day. You got to continue to practice tough throughout the season. I was talking to somebody about that the other day, somebody in the league, and that's important, that you constantly practice physical, you practice toughness, and you put guys in situations where they got to compete every day, because toughness and culture, that's got to be cultivated and developed every day. So yeah, I think as the season goes, you're just trying to build and build and build every day all the way up until the last game.
Do you feel like safety, Dewey, Eric, is that kind of settled right now?
Nah, those guys are still competing. So this joint will be great for that, for us to see some stuff there, and this game will be great for us to see some stuff there, hopefully. But we feel like I said last time, a lot of these guys have done a good job. Sav's done a good job. Antonio's done a good job. I thought Caleb, before he got hurt, was doing a really good job. So Rayon showed up a bunch, so he's doing a good job as well, developing. And like I said last time too, like we're going to keep the competition live all the time, and just got a little bit more to see here in camp.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I've got a question about like the mechanics. I mean, I just asked camp about it, but Travis on offense, and then next drive he's like right out there on defense. But you guys are going over stuff and changes and things, what you've seen and all that other stuff. So who has the responsibility of communicating that to Travis when he comes back off the field defensively? Because there's like going to be a condensed amount of time before he goes back on the field. Is that what you're going to do, or is there like Edgar going to do that? Who does that?
Yeah, typically it'll be Edgar, but we have a really strong support system underneath Edgar with Tettleton and John Van Dam and some of the rest of the staff. So we have a group of guys that'll do it kind of by committee, helping them out as much as we can.
So that's kind of, you guys have had to, nice, spend some time kind of
I think that means it's time to cut this off.
Yeah. You guys have had to spend a lot of time kind of mapping out the things that you probably took for granted, you know what I mean, in terms of dealing with Travis, right, the whole time, because you wouldn't have to normally worry about something like that.
Yeah, I think...
Probably didn't phrase that question.
I think going into it, you knew it was going to be unique challenges. So we try to stay ahead of it as much as we can by, like Liam talked about, mapping out really every second of the day, who he's meeting with, what he's doing, trying to make the most of his time here. So certainly something we're adjusting as we go, but going into it, it's going to pose some sort of challenges.
Liam said it yesterday, and certainly it's been a talking point, I think, here in town. Jonah taking a big leap. What does that mean?
Well, it's the added depth on the offensive line, which is always huge. You're never, I think he said, you're never comfortable with it, but it gives you a little bit more sense of security knowing that he can fill in at roles inside, whether it's guard or center. What he's shown, not only from a mental standpoint, but physical standpoint, has been encouraging.
Liam's run game last year obviously made great strides in Tampa. When you see him install that, what stands out about why it can be a success here?
Well, I think it kind of starts with the mentality first and foremost, the way you approach the run game, committing all 11, the way you're going to practice the run game, the emphasis you put on the techniques, fundamentals, and the play style. I think just starting with that foundation of how we approach the run game lays that groundwork for the rest of the hopeful success that we have throughout the year, whatever the scheme is.
Trevor and Liam have both kind of talked about this, but how do you feel just the way Trevor's kind of seeing things right now, when the live action preseason games?
I think he's certainly improved. He's taking steps and he's getting closer and closer. We all know that the work is never done, so hopefully that progress continues all the way throughout the season. But you certainly see the processing, getting to third, fourth reads, progressions, and being able to distribute the ball across the field, whether it's deep, short, outside, inside. I think he's made progress in all facets. We're throwing a lot at him, so it continues to challenge him in some ways. So there's some facets of the game where it might look like he's struggling, but there's new things that he's still being always asked to learn and adapt to.
And then for you as a coach, what kind of value do you get out of joint practices?
I think it comes down to the competition. It's great for the guys, an opportunity to compete against somebody else, against a different scheme, against different looks, against different pressures. And then ultimately getting evaluation on us as an offense, us as a staff, how well coached we are, but the players individually winning their one-on-one matchups. So it can be a good benchmark, really, to see how you compete.
Parker Washington was pretty vocal last year about his ability to flex inside and outside. What have you seen from him in his attempt to try to play all three positions? But obviously, we all know that the slot is where he made his living in college.
Yeah, it's a heavy task, especially in this offense, to be able to play all three positions and really line up anywhere in the field, especially because of the amount of splits and different formations we're going to line up in. So not only is it playing inside, but it's inside and you're stacked up, or you're inside in a bunch, then you're outside in a bunch, then you're outside all the way outside the numbers. So it's a huge range of both route tree, blocking assignments, different alignments that he has to manage. So just the mental aspect of him being able to gain the level of mastery to go out there and play one position, one play, and then turn around the very next position, or play a totally different position and line up in a completely different spot, and really be asked to express a different skill set on a play-to-play basis. So that's been really impressive. And then you see the plays that he makes when he gets the opportunity, ball thrown his way.
But you've seen him do both, which is maybe a surprise or pleasant surprise, we'll call it, from when you guys got here, and maybe what you thought he could have been?
Yeah, I don't know that you call it a surprise because you see the flashes of it. It was just ultimately building that level of consistency and giving him the opportunities to go out there and make those plays, which he's taken advantage of.
Do you see him having a bigger role this season compared to the past? I know you haven't been here.
Yeah, I don't know how much I could speak on comparative to the past, but I certainly think he'll be a really big part of our offense. And like I said, the plays that he's making, that flexibility he provides to play multiple positions, sets him up for that success.
What makes Dyami Brown such a good fit for this offense?
It kind of goes back to the way he works and the way he's tried to embrace his role. He's another guy you're asking to do things that he hasn't done in the past. Whether it's in the run game, you see him doing a lot of dirty work blocking, and it's not always just, some deep shots or ball in hand type plays. He's got a pretty wide route tree. So it's that balance and that flexibility that he provides. Even though he's not playing multiple positions like Parker is, he's still asked to do a lot of different things that helps us stay balanced as an offense and gives him opportunities in the pass game, because, the more we can be a legitimate run threat with him in the game and in different alignments and positions, the more opportunities he'll have in the pass game.
The more you've seen him throughout the summer, has that changed maybe how you guys envisioned his role being back in February maybe, or back in March when you signed him?
I think that's one of the great things about training camp. You probably go into the spring with a vision for each player. Over the course of the spring, it changes a little bit. Then you put the pads on and get out here and you compete full speed against the defense, and then it changes a little bit. And then we'll go to joint practices and it'll probably change a little bit more. So it's always evolving, whether it's him or anybody on the team. Kind of your vision for what they do well, how we can utilize that player is always evolving.
Liam said yesterday that he kind of buzzes around the league and he takes creativity from around the league when designing plays. And he also said he leans on you guys. So just where do you kind of get your creativity from when it comes to designing plays, or the way you
I think it's a lot of things. Not each play kind of comes to you the same way, so it depends on which play and what you're looking at or what you're trying to get done at the time. I think for me, at least, a lot of it starts with trying to get a conceptual understanding of either what I'm trying to do or what we're trying to do, and then what the defense is doing, how they're built, how they're structured. So I don't know that I could necessarily answer where the creativity comes from. That's probably a deeper question for somebody smarter than me, but it really starts with foundationally, like, what are we trying to get done and what are they doing, and then how can you attack that?
When you guys call plays during preseason games and stuff like that, like the 4th and 1 jet sweep to Dyami, do you guys sometimes call certain plays in the preseason to send a message, whether it's to your own team or the rest of the league, or am I just looking too much into that? Like, it's 4th and 1 and like, hey, we'll run this jet sweep, and now everybody in the rest of the league is looking at it going, oh, they're not just going to line up and smack it in the mouth. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think part of it is you want to be focused on what we can control, and we're focused on us. So we're trying to develop our offense more so than being worried about what the other defenses are doing or what we're trying to put on tape necessarily for defenses. We're really focused on developing our offense, our guys, putting them in the situations to be successful when the season comes. So that's probably the first principle, that's the starting point of focus. And then what the defense is doing and all that kind of comes secondary and tertiary after that.
In a lot of situations, 4 running backs would be one too many. If you ever had 4 true tailbacks before, and under the assumption that it's 25 guys, someone else in another position group is going to lose his job. What have those conversations been like?
Well, I think the running back position is a little bit like when we talk about the offensive line position, where how often do you get through an entire year where one guy is the starter and he's carrying 75-80% of the reps, 80% of the carries every single game for all 17 weeks and into the playoffs, hopefully. Right? Probably pretty rare nowadays in the NFL, so it's great to have the depth at that position, to have a stable of backs that can do it by committee and all have different strengths and weaknesses and all can provide value.